Everybody, Legend for Life here. Welcome to another Blast from the Past. So, I'm sure you guys have been wondering where I have been for the past few days. I've been sick again, and it's been driving me nuts. And unfortunately, I ran out of my backlog, so I couldn't really go and upload while I was sick. This is why I always try to have a backlog of videos. But anyway, so Blast from the Past, Heraldic Beast. Okay, I freaking love Heraldic Beast. It's one of my favorite archetypes from the Zexal era. It's played by one of my favorite bad guys from the Zexal anime, and it just is a really cool rank 4 spam archetype. And I really wanted to cover it. So, yeah, and this is going to be the first Blast from the Past in a new style, similar to the archetype analysis with CyberDarks. So, yeah, and again, let me know what you guys think of this new style. A lot of people loved it from what I saw last time. So, hopefully it works the same for Blast from the Past, because that's my plan. So, first up, what is Heraldic Beast? They are a rank 4 focused archetype. Like literally everything from the Zexal era, especially from the anime. However, they have a few things about them. They are heavily based on a graveyard. If you don't have a good graveyard set up with Heraldic Beast within the first few turns, you're going to have a tough time winning the duel. But however, once they do get their graveyard setup going, oh my god, this is one of the fastest rank 4 spam decks out there. Like, oh my god, it is so incredibly fast. You can get out so many XCs until Lynx came out. But however, you could do very cool combos. They have a lot of stuff going for them, and they also have a varied type and attribute. Literally, the only thing that ties them together is their effects and name. Like for instance, this guy's a dragon, that's a winged beast. They're both wind in this instance, but anyways, a lot of them, they're usually wind, earth, or I think there's a light. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, there's a light or two. But yeah, so they have a lot of good things going for them, mostly on the rank 4 spam focus, and due to the types and attributes, they can also make a variety of link monsters, like for instance, Mrs. Radiant. If we ever get a wind version of Mrs. Radiant, which I'm sure we'll be getting in Extreme Force, hopefully. So yeah, so they'll be able to make a lot of links too and everything, so always a good bonus. So the main monsters, okay, I couldn't fit all the monsters onto one screen, but oh well. So these are the 3 main monsters. They're the 3 key combo pieces of the deck, and all 3 of these guys on this particular screen, you're playing 3 of in every build of Heraldic Beast, okay? Like, it's literally as simple as that. So, first and foremost, we gotta talk about Leo. Heraldic Beast Leo, funnily enough, he's from the 2nd wave of support, because this deck has 3 waves or so of support. But Leo's from the 2nd wave, and he is the search card of the deck. During the end phase of the turn, he was normal summon, he destroys himself, and if he is sent from anywhere to the graveyard, you get to grab another Heraldic Beast, except a copy of himself. Now, this is really good, because he doesn't care how he gets to the graveyard. Heck, if he gets detached for an Xyz monster's effects, you'll get the effect. If the Xyz monster dies while he's on that Xyz monster as Xyz material, you'll get the search. If he's discarded, sent from fields, sent from deck, doesn't matter. You will get the search. Now, it is a hard once per turn, though, which greatly limits his usability. But, however, being able to just get a free search every time that he gets hit to the graveyard, no matter what, when, or how, you will get a lot of, search power. And he only destroys himself on the end phase of the turn that he was normal summoned. So if you do special summon him or something, you don't have to worry about him dying. He is a 2k beater, which is really great. So just, it can come down to that where you do need to use them just to beat down stuff. And then we got Heraldic Beast Amphisbaena. I can't guarantee that I'm saying that right, but Heraldic Beast Amphisbaena, he's a dragon, he's a wind. I think I forgot to mention it, but Heraldic Beast Leo, he's a beast and he's an earth, obviously you can tell from there. But Amphisbaena, he's from the 3rd wave of support, and he is something that the deck desperately needed, and I'm so happy Konami gave the deck this card. So Amphisbaena, you can discard one other Heraldic Beast monster, special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can discard one Heraldic Beast monster. This card gains 800 attack until the end of this turn. So you can really tell what they were trying to do with Amphisbaena. And that is make it to where you can easily get Heraldics out of your hand and into your graveyard. So you can just pitch a Leo, special summon him, Leo effect, search out a Heraldic Beast, and then use Amphisbaena's effect to pitch that new Heraldic Beast you just grabbed and make him a 2500 beater. That is really, really good. Now, granted, you don't really use the secondary discard effect very often because you usually want to only do that if like you're pushing for game and you need extra damage. Or if you really, really need another Heraldic in your graveyard to get, more stuff going. So, really, honestly, a big thing is that you can just pitch something, special summon from your hand, and that's not a once per turn. That is not a once per turn. So you can, if you have multiple Amphisbaenas, you can special summon each and every single one of them, provided you have the hand advantage to do it, and thanks to Leo, you usually generally do. And then we got Amber Conway. Heraldic Beast Amber Conway. He's a dragon, he's a wind as well. So, funnily enough, because Amber Conway and Amphisbaena are both winds, you can do stuff like make Lightning Jadori, and it's really, really good. Anyway, so Amber Conway, he's a dragon wind, 1800 attack, 900 defense, and I believe he's from the first wave of support. I can't remember. Yeah, Abyss Rising, so yeah, that's the first wave of support. Actually, wait. Yeah, I believe that's from the first wave of support. Anyway, so if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish another Heraldic Beast, Amber Conway, from your graveyard to target one Heraldic Beast in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. You can only use Amber Conway's effect once per turn. So the big thing about Amber Conway, if you have at least one other copy of him in your graveyard, so you got to have at least 2 copies minimum to be able to use his effect, you can banish another Amber Conway and then target any Heraldic Beast in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So you can only use that effect up to 2 times in a duel, unless like you're playing unless you're playing the Burial from a different dimension card, which is actually not half bad in this deck, because a lot of the stuff does banish in this game. I mean, in this deck. And so you get to freely recur Heraldic Beasts from your graveyard back to your hand. This works really great with like Leo. So, oh hey, you got a Leo in your graveyard, you drew an Amphisbaena, you got 2 Amber Conways in your graveyard, use one of them's effect, target the Leo, add back to hand, Amphisbaena effect, discard the Leo, special summon Amphisbaena, Leo effect, search. Really, really, really great. Amber Conway you mainly use in the later half of the game and to help grind. And hey, if you really, really got like a bunch of Amphisbaenas in your hand, then you can really utilize Amber Conway's effect to correspond with Amphisbaena's effect. It just works great and wonders, and I love it. Then we got the main monsters part 2. These guys, maybe you don't play 3 of. I still say play 3 of these guys. You don't even need one of him. But anyways, they're really good too. And then we got like the last bit of support in the next slide, which is just not great. So then, first and foremost, I gotta talk about Heraldic Beast Unicorn. Unicorn, whenever he first came out in Cosmo Blazer, was just not good in the deck. You only really played one of them because you needed another Heraldic Beast, and that was pretty much it, because this deck really, honestly, it only has like, I think, 11 monsters in the main deck, which is still more than some decks. But anyways, Unicorn, he's a really great monster now because of a new monster that came out for the deck way back in World Superstars and is part of the 3rd wave of support. So, Unicorn, if he's in your graveyard, you can banish him from your graveyard, target a Psychic type Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it with its effects negated. You can only use Unicorn's effect once a turn. So, the big thing about Unicorn, and something you gotta know for now, is that all of the Heraldic Beast Xyz monsters are Psychic type. So, you get a free monster reborn for your Heraldic Xyz monsters. The big thing though is it negates their effects. But however, one of the newer Xyz monsters from the 3rd wave of support for this deck, it doesn't really care about its on-field effects, and you really want to use its graveyard effects. So being able to bring back that monster for basically free is just really, really great with this card. Then we got Heraldic Beast Twin-Headed Eagle. So Twin-Headed Eagle, I freaking love what this card can do. So if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard, target a face-up Xyz monster you control with no Xyz materials, and 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard. Attach those monsters to the face-up Xyz monster as Xyz material. You can only use Eagle's effect once a turn. So, okay, one of my biggest things I've always loved doing with this card is summoning Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, using his effect, detaching 2, targeting a monster, he gains that monster's attack power and halves that monster's attack power. And then using Twin-Headed Eagle, banish it, target 2 Heraldic Beasts, attach it back onto Dark Rebellion, and then do it again. And that's just one example of what makes Twin-Headed Eagle so fun. Because, oh hey, you used up all your Xyz materials on your Utopia to Lightning. Put 2 more back on there. Oh, hey, your Dark Rebellion just used its effect. Do it again. Oh, no, you got a 101 that has no Xyz materials. Well, do it again. It's really, really, really stupid. I love it. This card is a great card for the archetype and what it does. It's a definite 3 of because it's just one of the better Heraldic beasts out of the bunch, other than, well, these 3. And Unicorn is great for mid to late game. So Twin-Ended Eagle, being able to just constantly recur your Xyz materials onto your Xyz monsters and being able to reuse them over and over and over is really, really, really great. And heck, it was really fun using it on like Daigusto Emerald before it got banned, stuff like that. It just has so much utility for the deck and what it wants to do that I freaking love this card. And then we got Heraldic Beast Eel. He's got a very, very simple effect. If you control 2 or more Heraldic Beast monsters, you can spell summon this card from your hand. This card really should have been, if you control a Heraldic Beast, you can spell summon this card from your hand. If it was that simple, he'd be a 3 of, but he needs 2 or more on the field to be able to summon him. So you really only need 1 of him in the deck. Otherwise, Eel is just not that great. He's just another combo extender, lets you go into more Xyz monsters and stuff. Now, granted, because he is an Earth, and we got Mrs. Radiant out and stuff, maybe you might be more inclined to play more than 1 of them, because if you do have multiple Heraldic Beasts out, and you have multiple Eels, then you can summon out the 2 Eels, make Mrs. Radiant. But even then, that's like, I don't know, like maybe you only play 2 Eels. It's really, really tough call. So, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Eel. He's okay as a 1 of, honestly. And then we got the bad main deck monsters, okay? So, Basilisk used to be okay. I'm going to talk about Basilisk first. Heraldic Beast, Basilisk. After damage calculation, destroy any opponent's monster that this card battles. Well, that battles this card. So, oh hey, he's basically a Grand Mole that destroys an after damage calculation. He's 1400 defense, 1000 attack, level 4 Earth. Now, the only real thing that he has going for him nowadays is that he's a Heraldic Beast and that he's an Earth. The big thing about him is that he does nothing for the archetype other than being a name and a Mrs. Radiant target. The destruction effect used to be really nice, actually, and was a reason why you would play him, because, oh, hey, if you had enough, because back when the deck was super slow before we got Amphisbaena, you would, generally speaking, if you had nothing better that you could do the first turn, you would set your Basilisk, let your opponent ram into it, oh, hey, your opponent monsters would die, you'd have Basilisk in the graveyard, next turn, bring it back from the graveyard, and then go for an Xyz summon with a Heraldic Beast in your hand. That was basically what Basilisk was used for, and it's not that great. It's really not that great. You don't need him anymore. You don't need him. He's 0 of. And then we got Heraldic Beast Burner's Falcon, which back when we only had 2 main deck Heraldic Beasts, you would play just because he was the only other Heraldic Beast. But he's just not good at all. When this card is summoned, you can make all face-up level 5 or higher monsters you currently control become level 4. Now, when Heraldic Beast first came out with Burner's Falcon, Aberconway, and the spell card that we're going to get to here in a minute, as well as also the first Xyz monster, people would actually play this with like Cyber Dragons in Heraldic Beast deck with like Gagagas and stuff. Burner's Falcon's just not that great. Now, if he had his anime effect where he turned Xyz monsters into levels equal to their ranks, Burner's Falcon would actually be not half bad, because then you could use Unicorn's effect to bring back summons, normal summon Burner's Falcon, use his effect, turn that Xyz monster into a level 4 and go for an Xyz summon. But this is before Konami thought that, oh hey, turning Xyz monsters into a level equal to their rank is actually an okay thing to do for the actual game. So they gave it a completely different effect, and I hate it, because Burner's Falcon, if he had his anime effect, would actually not be half bad, but they had to go and make it to where you can turn a level 5 or higher monster into a level 4. And okay, so this is it for the level 4 for all of the Heraldic Beasts main deck monsters. Do you see any level 5s here? There are no level 5s. They're all level 4. So there's no reason to play Burner's Falcon. He does nothing for the deck, and it's just absolutely not necessary. Now then, moving on to the Xyz monsters. There's 4 Xyz monsters, and honestly, I love each and every single one of them. I'm going to be kind of just fanboying about Heraldic Beasts in this entire video. That's my excuse for making this video, is fanboying over one of my favorite archetypes. So, first and foremost, I got to talk about the original Heraldic Beast Xyz monster, and arguably the best one, although Patriarch kind of sort of takes that too. So, number 8, Heraldic King Genome Heritage. He's a psychic Xyz effect monster. Needs 2 level 4 Heraldic Beast monsters And once per turn, you can target one face-up Xyz monster your opponent controls. This card's name and original attack becomes that monster's name and current attack. And this card's effect becomes that monster's original effect. Then that monster's attack becomes 0 and its effects are negated. These changes last until the end phase. So, let's say your opponent has a Utopia Lightning out. Okay, or, I don't know, even better yet, let's say that they have, I don't know, a Terror Knight Deltaros or a, whatever. Insert random Xyz monster here. Genome Heritage can copy that thing's effect, name, and attack power while also dropping that monster's attack to 0. So, Genome Heritage, like, let's say you're targeting like a Degasthermal, you'll become an 1800 beater who can recur your stuff in your graveyard, which is great. And then also, that Degasthermal has 0 attack. And then, of course, for some reason, Genome Heritage becomes a Degusto Emerald, which is not really that necessary for that particular point, but like, in certain matchups, it could be a funny thing. So, Genome Heritage is such an obnoxious card. It's a really, really great Xyz monster. Hell, if Heraldic King Genome Heritage was not archetype specific, I guarantee you this card would be on the ban list, because just being able to steal your opponent's Xyz monster's effects and use them for your own is so incredibly good. Not to mention it drops that monster's attack to 0, so then, oh hey, it makes it easier for OTKs and stuff. So it's just such an incredibly powerful and scary card. Especially if like you're stealing other archetype specific Xyz monsters, like for instance Deltaros and Terror Knight Traverse. So, oh, I pick a card out of your opponent's hand. Really, really good card. I can't stress enough how good it is. Personally, I play 1 to 2 of it, depending on the build. I personally prefer 2 most of the times, because once your opponent reads the card, they're going to be like, okay, so I'll strike that. Because that's what they're going to have to do. Anyway, so next up now we got number 69, Heraldry Crest. He needs 3 level 4 monsters to go into, so unlike Genome Heritage, he is not archetype specific. And then he basically does what Genome Heritage does too. It's kind of funny. So when he's special summoned, negate the effects of all other face-up Xyz monsters currently on the field. You can target one other face-up Xyz monster in the field until the end phase. This card's name and original effect become the same as that monster. You can only use the effect of King Heraldry Crest once per turn. So, Heraldry Crest basically has the same effect as Genome Heritage, but does not gain does not change his attack power, and does not reduce the opponent's monster's attack power to 0. So, it's really, really good as well. The deck doesn't make him too often, but it's still very much a troll card, and I freaking love it. Funny story, actually, this card actually cost me the game one time because I negated my own Shockmaster by accident. And I didn't know that, oh, hey, if Shockmaster gets negated after you use the effect, it no longer lingers. I thought it did, but oh well. And then we got the Chaos number 69 over here, which is Heraldry Crest of Horror. And he does basically the same thing, but does gain the attack power, and it's really, really stupid. Oh, and then if an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can destroy all of your opponent's cards. It's really, really, really stupid. But you do got to play a rank up build for being able to go into this thing. And I love it still because this card is really obnoxious. Your opponent has a tough time getting rid of it, especially if you have back row to save it and stuff from other things. But then there's also Kaiju, so yeah. And it's got a massive 4K attack power, so that's always nice. And then we got arguably the most important Xyz in the archetype. Number 18, Heraldry Patriarch. The Patriarchy! Sorry, I was so tempted to put like a meme there, but I can't. I just can't. Anyway, so the Patriarchy, he's a rank 4, 2200 attack, 2200 defense. He's generic, needs 2 level 4s to go into, which actually helps out with the deck quite a bit. And then his effect kind of corresponds with what the other Heraldries do, where on the field you can detach an Xyz material from him during a player's turn. Target a monster, provided there's 2 monsters of the same name on the field, target one of those monsters, destroy all the other copies, and then while you control Patriarch, I believe, while this card remains on the field, your opponent cannot summon monsters with the same name as any of the monsters chosen for this card's effect, which is really, really good, especially if like your opponent has to rely on multiples of an Xyz monster. So like, let's say you're playing against Pendulum Magicians, and you summon out Genome Heritage, copy Time Star Magician, and then you summon out Patriarch, and then you still have Genome Heritage, copying Time Star Magician. Target your own Genome Heritage, pretend to be Time Star Magician. That'll destroy your opponent's Time Star Magician, and then your opponent can't summon Time Star Magician for, well, until Patriarch dies. And then Patriarch has another effect, which is its a more important effect because you never really use its first effect except for in very certain situations. But its secondary effect is what's really important. If it is sent to the graveyard, doesn't matter how, if it is sent to the graveyard, you can send 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck to the graveyard. So, if you wanted to be cheeky, you could summon Gildagra, pay like 3,000 life points, send them from your deck to the graveyard instantly. Or if like your opponent Solemn Strikes it, or Solemn Warnings it, or anything like that, if it hits the graveyard, doesn't matter how, you will get to send any 2 Heraldic Beasts from your deck to the graveyard. So, provided you use 2 Heraldic Beasts to summon it, there you go. You have 4 Heraldics in your graveyard right then and there, which is amazing. And it sets up so many plays. And then, of course, you can send Unicorn with its effect, so then you can use Unicorn to bring back Patriarch from graveyard. And then if Patriarch dies again, you'll get to send another 2. And then you usually send at least one Unicorn every single time, so then you can keep bringing it back. It's really, really, really good for this deck, and just setting up the graveyard and getting ready to just swarm everything from the graveyard and destroy your opponent. Now then, the spell cards. So the deck has 3 spell cards, and each and every single one of them are great. So first and foremost, I gotta talk about Advanced Heraldry Art. So target 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard, special summon both those targets. Immediately after this card resolves, Xyz summon 1 Xyz monster using those 2 monsters only. So this is actually a card that really got people wanting to play Heraldic Beast, because it's literally basically a Miracle Fusion for Xyz monsters. Oh, hey, you got 2 Heraldics in your graveyard, bring them back, go on an Xyz monster. It's really, really good. You can just bring out any 2 and then go for a Utopia, make a Utopia Lightning. It's such an incredibly powerful and good card. And it was so much better before Lynx, because if you had multiples of this card in your hand and you had enough Heraldics in your graveyard, or you were going for an Xyz monster that could detach and get more Heraldics in your graveyard, then you could activate all 3 copies if you wanted to, because this card is not once per turn. And neither is Heraldry Reborn, which is literally just Monster Reborn for Heraldics. Target a Heraldic Beast in your graveyard, special summon it. So right there, you have 2 different ways to bring back Heraldics from your graveyard. A lot of people say that Reborn is just not really worth playing in multiples because you got Advanced Heraldry Art. I disagree. I think that both cards, Advanced Heraldry Art and Reborn, are definitely main deck 3-ofs in any Heraldic Beast build, because you need to be able to get to them as fast as possible. And thankfully you can, because with the 3rd wave of support, we got their field spell, Augmented Heraldry. So this card, Psychic type Xyz monsters on the field cannot be targeted by spell or trap effects. Once per turn, you can discard 1 Heraldic Beast monster, add a Heraldry spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, except Augmented Heraldry. You cannot normal or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this effect, except Psychic type Xyz monsters and Heraldic Beast monsters from your, even if this card leaves the field. So, yeah, so it's literally a Dragon Ravine for the deck. You discard a Heraldic Beast, add 1 of your spells or trap cards, except itself, from your deck to your hand, and it's that simple. It's such a great card. You discard a Leo, you get to search out a spell, and you get to search out a monster, and then, yeah, sure, you get locked out of going into generic monsters, but however, you can still make your Genome Heritage, you can still make your Patriarch, you can still summon more Heraldic Beasts. It's such an incredibly good card. Now, that being said, though, due to its restrictions, I'd say only play 2 of this card, because the Psychic type protection thing is really, really nice, but if you're going against somebody who's also using Psychic type Xyz monsters, which there's not many of, hilariously enough, it does help them too. And it's just such a great card, really, for the deck, just being able to get stuff more in graveyard and get the spells out of your deck and into your hand. Now, the deck does have 2 trap cards, okay, and I gotta bring this up. So, Heraldry Change. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, special summon a Heraldic Beast from your hand, then end the battle phase. So, the big thing about Change could have been an amazing card. It really could have, if it said hand or graveyard. If it said hand or graveyard, Heraldry Change would be an amazing battle trap. Okay, you get a free monster, it ends the battle phase, negates the attack, you're good to go, you don't have to worry about getting OTK'd. But since it only summons from hand, and typically speaking, you try to empty your hand as much as possible so you can get your Heraldics in a graveyard so you can bring them back with the spells, Heraldry changes is not that great. It's way too slow. I mean, generally speaking, you want to get your Heraldics on the field as fast as possible, or in the graveyard as fast as possible, so you can do more Xyz summons. And while yes, the battle protection is nice and all, it's nothing really amazing to really warrant playing. Now, back when the deck did not have much of any support, oh my god, yeah, you played at least 2 of it so you could keep yourself alive and get more Heraldics on the field, because back then the deck did not have many ways of getting Heraldics on the field. So it's really not that great of a card. If they ever like want to give Heraldics more support, like a upgraded change that summons stuff from graveyard would be really cool. Then we got Heraldry Record, which funnily enough doesn't really do much for the deck, but it's an amazing counter trap for certain side deck formats. So it's a counter trap, obviously. When an effect of your opponent's Xyz monster is activated by detaching its own Xyz materials, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So this card is actually really good for the side deck of a Heraldic Beast deck, because you can search it out with Augmented Heraldry, and it counters a lot of Xyz focused decks. So like, let's say you're playing against Pendulum Magicians and they want to try and use their Time Star Magician effect, you can activate Record, it'll negate and destroy that monster's effect. Back in Zodiac format, when I didn't have the money for strikes, I would side it. It's just such a great card, really. It is, just for being able to stop Xyz monsters. But that's just it. It only stops Xyz monsters, and it only stops it when they activate an effect that requires them to discard a card from, well, detach Xyz material from them. So, really, honestly, Record could have been better if it was just like negate the effect of a monster that tries to activate or something. But still, it's really honestly a great side deck. So now then, what does the deck need? So for the future, I think that the deck needs more good main deck traps. It doesn't have many at all, and I really feel like it could benefit from 1 or 2. And likewise, I feel like it could benefit from 1 to 2 more monsters, because really, in all honesty, they have a lot of monsters, but 2 of them are just absolute trash. So some really good monsters that make up for those 2 crappy ones would be really great. I feel like the deck could really benefit from a Heraldry rank up, and maybe also another like ranked up version of, like, for instance, number 8 or 18, not just of 69. But an archetypal rank up would be really cool, because then that'd also make the rank up focus builds a bit better. I really think the deck could use a Link monster. It really does need one. It's one of those Xyz focus decks that need a Link monster. It could just be a simple Link 2 that points 2 downwards, and needs either 2 Heraldic Beasts or 2 Psychic type Xyz monsters or something like that. That'd be cool, because then also you could use, if it's like 2 Heraldic Beasts or Heraldry monsters, that would be really, really great, because then you could also use like a Leo and a Patriarch to, for the Link summon, and then you get to send 2 from deck to grave and add a copy of another monster from your deck to your hand, which would be really, really great. And then I think the deck really does need a draw card. The deck exhausts its hand so fast, and it's ridiculous. And not only that, but also the whole focus of the deck is getting your Heraldics in the graveyard. A D-draw, as simple as discarded Heraldic Beast, draw 2 cards, would be amazing for the deck. So that's my thoughts and opinions on Heraldic Beasts. I freaking love this archetype, if you can't tell already. It really, really does need some more support, and I just want to see Konami try and make a good bad guy deck. Like, let's be honest, there has never been a good bad guy deck. Like, by good I mean meta relevant, because for some reason Konami just does not want to give the bad guys good archetypes, I guess. I don't know, it's weird. Anyways, guys, what are your thoughts on Heraldic Beasts? Do you agree with what I say here about what they need? Do you think that they need more? Do you think they don't need as much? What do you guys think? I may not always reply to your comments, but I do read them, and hey, I'd love to see what you guys talk about in the comments. So guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And